there's this word in sport called the zone, you know, and I've had it a couple of times where just everything seems to slow down a little bit. Everything seems to be in sync.
He's out! He's gone! First ball! Tufnell's on a hat-trick!
Oh, yeah! Out! Beautifully bowled.
Tufnell. It's in the air, he's going to get 5. That's a good effort. Gower takes the catch. A very good effort from young Philip Tufnell to take 5 wickets in the second Test match. He's deserved every one of them.
There may be some people out there who didn't even know you were a cricketer, let's be honest, because of the amount of shows you've been on. Yeah. You've done Strictly, you've done I'm a Celebrity. Yeah. How do you find that side of things?
A lager would be nice. Cold pint of lager.
Going with the flog position again. Oh, and he's nearly come off in almost the identical place as he did in practice.
Phil, cricket.
Yes.
Not everyone's cup of tea, but you've made a decent career out of it before you went into the media. We wind the clock all the way back to 1990 when you made your debut for England. It's a long time ago.
It is.
Tell us, people who aren't necessarily up with cricket, why do people get so passionate about cricket?
Why do they get so passionate about cricket? I think it's, well, especially the Ashes.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's the history, the rivalry, and then everything, you know, everything that goes with it. Yeah. Really. Especially going down under as well. You know, you're sort of... You're taking on every layer of Australian society.
Yes,
if you know what I mean. Yeah. You know, from the bloke who, I mean, you said I made my debut.
Yes.
In Australia, and I can remember a couple of the sort of more senior players before we went over saying, "Phil, this is just a little bit different."
Right.
And I said, "Well, hold on a minute. How can it be different? It's still a game of cricket. It's 11 versus 11. You know, and I played a few bits and pieces in a few games." He said, it's just a little bit different. And it is, you know, you go down there and you're against the whole country, you know, from the bloke opening the door in the hotel to the fast bowlers to everyone. Everyone is completely behind it. So it's quite a daunting task going down to Australia, and especially to try and win. But it's one of those things that as a professional cricketer, you are sort of, you're gauged on, really. No disrespect to any other series.
No, of course, yeah.
But, you know, you're kind of gauged how you get on. And if you can come back from Aussie having won a series, I mean, that is a real sort of tick in your CV. And
if we take you back to when you made your debut, obviously it was in Melbourne, but you had to obviously fly over there in London. And am I right in thinking that Alan Lamb thought you were like some autograph hunter that had just turned up at the hotel? Or
it was. I mean, I was still a very young man in my cricketing career, and all the guys had been, you know, these guys were legends, you know, Lamb, Smith, Gower. You know, I was the youngster who'd been selected to sort of like as the young spinner to go over there and see how he gets on, and for a bit of experience, really. And we all turned up on the Friday night, and you know, for the big off Saturday morning. And I hadn't really played against some of these guys because they were away playing for England and what have you, and I was just doing my bit for Middlesex. So I got selected, turned up there, and then we've you know, gone upstairs about 7:30 for an early night, and then, you know, as I said, put Bargain Hunt on, and sat there watching it till about 8 o'clock, and then sort of like, oh, this is a bit boring. So I've gone downstairs and I've popped my head round the sort of the bar area, and there are all my heroes, you know, who I've been watching as a lad growing up. And then I've thought to myself, well, crikey, I better go and introduce myself, you know. And so I've gone in there and stood behind them for what felt like an eternity, and they're all having a drink and having a chat and all excited and what have you. And then about 10 minutes later, after me sort of standing there going hello, you know, a bit embarrassed, Alan Lamb's turned around and gone, all right, lad, would you like an autograph? And I've gone, no, I'm your left arm spinner. I'm coming with you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So they obviously welcomed you into the team. You get out to Australia. You made your Test debut, which, you know, for people who don't know, making your debut in Australia is, as you said, something else. It's not like playing for Middlesex, you know, at Lords, and even that's obviously prestigious. So when you get out there and you're obviously fielding, you're bowling, you're in the heat, what was the point where you thought to yourself, wow, this is pretty, I'm in something here?
Yeah, well, I got the nod the night beforehand. You know, I mean, this is the MCG.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
Boxing Day Test is iconic, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't think they'd allow anyone else to have a debut there.
No, of course.
Like a duty of care. You know, as a young fella, you know, oh Phil, you're playing tomorrow. So it was a bit of a restless and a sleepless night, and I can still remember. I mean, it's amazing. Everyone walks to the MCG. Right. And so it's a bit like when I was a boy, like the FA Cup. Do you remember that? And everyone sort of like streaming down Wembley way.
Wonderful scenes, yeah.
And you're sitting there in the coach, and we're sort of like slowly working through all this crowd that is just streaming to the MCG, and I'm just looking around, going, "Crikey, O'Reilly, you know, this is huge." You know, and I think there was about 110,000 there, all screaming Australians, all completely backing their team. Yeah. You felt that you were, as I said, against the whole country. But it was one of those sort of like, you know, the hairs stand up and on the back of your neck and what have you. And then you go out and bowl. And I can't actually remember too much about it, actually. I can remember going down to Bay 13. Which
I was going to ask you about Bay 13,
why did Gucci put me down there? You know, Bay 13, which is this notorious section of the crowd in Melbourne that they just give you a stick and they're on your, you know, blah, 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 you know. And so that was a bit of an eye-opener. And then I finally got the nod to come on to bowl, to which Gucci had thrown me this ball with no seam on it. It looked like a Rottweiler had it. And I've gone, what is this? You know, it's not like I used to bowl in England, and all the quarter seam had been smashed up. And yeah, for the first couple of deliveries, I don't particularly quite remember, but I do remember the third delivery because Dean Jones was batting. And I bowled it, and to be fair, I got the first two down all right, I think. You know, just slotting into sort of like automatic pilot sort of thing. And then Dean Jones has come running down the pitch, whacked one back at me, to which I sort of gone, like that, and it's hit me right on the ankle point there, as I've sort of slung a foot out at it. And that sort of like, and the pain, you know, I went, ow! And I sort of woke up a little bit, you know, and I thought to myself, crikey, O'Reilly. And I looked around, and I can still remember it was like it was like a tumble dryer. You know, if you were sitting in front of a tumble dryer, the whole sort of stands and everything were just sort of moving, and it was a beautiful sunny day, red hot, bright. You know, all the colours were sort of sharper. You know, everyone was in yellow and light blue and everything. You know, when usually in England everyone's rugged up. Yeah. And I just sort of looked round and went, crikey. You know, get yourself together here, Phil. And to be fair, I bowled all right, and I came sort of back into reality. And then, but yeah, those first couple of balls, I can't really remember too much about.
Everyone obviously asks you about, you know, when you started and when your debut is and stuff like that. But is there any, like, obviously 5 Test series, sometimes 6 Test series when you were playing. Were you ever away and you're thinking, or even during a home series, did it ever dawn on you what you actually were and what you were actually doing?
Well, no, not really, in a funny sort of way. I mean, it did slightly as you then became a little bit more experienced or everything. But yeah, I didn't have pictures of Ian Botham on my wall as I was growing up. Listen, I loved me cricket, I loved me football in the winter and played cricket in the summer, like most of us sort of did. And then became more through chance, actually. I was working for my father in his sort of silversmith factory, and you know, sort of hammering out pots and pans, and it was good. It was good living, and we was doing all right, and I was doing all right. And then he then said to me, "Listen, I've got your last chance here," because I'd given it away a little bit. You know, I didn't see it as a career. It was just playing sport and playing games, really. Yeah. But then I went down for this trial. And he said, listen, son, he said, I'll give you a full day's pay. And he said, the trial's only for 2 hours. And even I could do the maths on that. And I sort of went, well, hold on a minute, I may as well just go down there, you know what I mean? So I got on my fizzy, got on my little moped with my boots in my bag, went down there, and I don't think you could do it now, actually. I managed, because I'd left it out for about 2 or 3 years, started going down a pub and what have you, and doing what you do when you're a teenager. And I managed to get in. And I've gone to myself, oh, well, that was a bit of luck. Well, I'm still quite a bit unsure. But then my dad said, right, listen, that's a great opportunity. Just go there and enjoy it. And I did, and it was running about in the sunshine. We were playing cricket every day. You know, we was on the MCCYCs, which was about 20 or 30 of us. You know, we thought great mates messing about playing cricket. And, you know, you used to get the little brown envelope with a few, I think it was, I don't know what it was, I think it was 40 quid or something, you know, and you go, oh, crikey, O'Reilly, I've just been sort of paid to have a good time and play sport. And so I never really saw it. And then I progressed to Middlesex. They sort of picked me up from the MCCYCs. I then got a contract with Middlesex. And then I sort of played for them and did well and progressed from the second 11 to then getting my chance in the first 11. And then the England shout came along. And so, you know, I never really saw it as being a professional sportsman. I just saw it as playing for my country and playing for England, and everything else sort of came with it, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. And we talk about standout moments in your career. We talked about your debut. Obviously, Christchurch is one that I'm sure everybody throws at you as well, where you pretty much 7 for 47 is not a bad little set of figures there. And they collapsed, didn't they? You know, they lost 8 wickets.
In the last session.
Absolutely. So
everyone was packing up going home. I know. Everyone.
And then on comes Phil Tufnell and bowls out the whole New Zealand team.
I know, in a session. I mean, I think they were 1 down at tea or something. And as you said, all the boys had come in at tea, and well done, lads, all right, we're all packing up, sort of thing. You know, well, not gonna win from here. And then I came on, and
they lost 8 for 82, and you had 7 for 47 of those. So that's not a bad afternoon's work, really, is it? What did you have? My question was, what did you have for tea that day?
Well, there you go. I don't know, but I wish I could remember, because I'd still be having it, because it was just one of those days. It's one of those days where just everything seems to slot into place. You know, you're bowling well, you get a bit of luck along the way or something, or a great catch, and then, you know, that sort of panic just sort of spread through their ranks. Listen, I've been on the underside of it many times.
we can come on to your batting later, that's not a problem.
That won't take long. But and it was just one of those days. Again, I think there's this word in sport called the zone. You know, and I've had it a couple of times, 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 times perhaps, where just everything seems to slow down a little bit, and you just, you know, it's coming out beautifully. Everything seems to be in sync, and lovely. And you really then spend the rest of your career trying to find that again.
Was that what happened when you were 22, not out your highest scoring test? Do you remember that as clearly as you remember some of those wickets?
Well, no, the batting, Christ, blimey, O'Reilly, I wouldn't
you
say
were a number 11,
well,
weren't you?
I was a number 11,
yeah,
because I didn't like walking off on my own. That's what I said. But I never really caught back up on my batting, as you said, from those 3 or 4 years I had out of the game, because everyone then sort of was about 6'10" and bowling 90 miles an hour, and it was a little bit scary. I wouldn't say I was scared. I would say just sort of apprehensive. But you do your bit and you try hard. But I mean, you know, these guys are slinging it down. You know, I let the batters do the batting and I did the bowling.
And we obviously talk about the moments that stick out, like the Ashes. What's your, you know, something you maybe enjoyed or your favourite time playing? I mean, you played 21 day internationals as well as test matches. Yeah. Was there any particular game where you actually thought, do you know what, I really, really enjoyed that, or anything that sticks out in your mind? Because obviously me as a fan, I'm looking at Christchurch, I'm looking at the Ashes. Yeah. What about yourself? What really sticks with you?
Well, days. It's funny. It's funny actually, because you say it's the whole lot. It's the whole experience. You know, obviously you're going out there with 10 of your mates to represent your country and your family and your friends back home and whatever. But every time you pull that England shirt on, or every time you do a tour or you play a home series or something, there's an immense feeling of sort of accomplishment, but then also, you know, and so if you do something personally that is great, it just knocks it up that little level, you know, and you've got 100 or you've bowled well and you've got a 5 or something like that. You then take sort of personal pride in that. But a lot of it is actually just going out there in that team environment. I used to love that, you know, and you go out there and you're all together. And so even if, you know, you have an off day, you know what I mean, you're still part of that group that are trying to achieve something, and that's what I really enjoy.
And then if I wind you all the way forward to, you started versus Australia, you finished against Australia, 2001 at the Oval. What, talk me through those emotions, that last day of Test match cricket, 2001 at the Oval, big crowd. How did it feel? Did it feel right that you were finishing, or did you still feel like there was something left in you?
Well, yeah, good question. It kind of felt. It kind of felt that, you know. I mean, I'd you know, hadn't played for England for a while. There'd been a couple of injuries, and I think that Duncan Fletcher well said we've got to pick Tufnell because there's no one else, which didn't particularly give me a lot of confidence going into that game. But and so you go out there, you want to do well and everything, but yeah, I think that in the back of my mind, and a few things didn't go my way. And I don't know, I think I got 1 for 150 or something like that. We got thrashed from that fantastic Australian side in about 3.5, 4 days or something like that. And you're right. I mean, I'm afraid I wasn't that privileged to sort of like announce my retirement, you know, at the beginning of the summer.
The Anderson and Broad, the way they left,
and have everyone waving me off, you know what I mean?
Oh, they were waving at you, Phil, but we're not sure in what way. That was the problem.
No, and so you know, I still wanted to go, and I still wanted to prove myself, you know, and still wanted to do it. But after that game, I kind of like thought to myself, as you're trudging off, and you sit down in your dressing room spot, and you take your boots off, and I kind of knew that. I mean, what was I, about 37 then or something like that? And I kind of thought to myself that perhaps it's gone now, you know.
And so, obviously, you've retired, and then 2 years later, 2003, you make your media debut. You've done a few bits and pieces, but obviously TMS and stuff like that. How does it differ? Because obviously you would have been criticised as a player by the people in the commentary box, etc. So, are you mindful of that when you're critiquing players?
Well, when you first start, you are, because you're still very close. You're still very close to your mates and everything, and you know, I can always remember sort of saying things like, "Oh, he'll be very disappointed with that shot," you know, and he just didn't perhaps get into his rhythm with the ball and things like that. But then as you get a bit older, you've got a job to do. And if someone's not playing great, you don't want to go after them. Of course you don't. But then sometimes you have to say, well, you know, things aren't going right. Perhaps he needs to sort of take himself out of the firing line a little bit. Or, you know, that was a terrible shot. What was he thinking? And things like that. And you're allowed to do that. You know, everything can't be sweetness and light all the time. You know, you are there to paint the picture as well as critique the way and the styles that people are playing sometimes, you know. But it is difficult. It is difficult, but then you sort of find a way. I'm still a huge England fan, you know, so every time I commentate and I watch England come up, I am, you know, I really want them to win. You know, but then sometimes you see silly mistakes or people perhaps not doing you know, what they should do or things like that. You have to then sort of call it out a little bit sometimes. So it is a bit difficult, but it's never done through malice. You know, it's never done because, I don't like him very much, or I don't like him. You know, I love all the boys. Yeah. Because you just do it from the heart and from your head, and you just say what you feel at the time, you know. And we've seen the commentary change. So Test match specialists change from your CMJs and your blowers. And you've now got, you know, females coming in like Isha Guha and Alison Mitchell, and it's really evolved into something different. Do you feel you've had to adapt your style of the way you are in the commentary, or have you always been the same since the start and finish? No, not really. You know, it always, you know, I played the game for 20 odd years, so you know, you like to think that you know a little bit what's going on, you know, but you know, the new people come in and old people go and what have you like that. But we're very, very lucky. We're very lucky that we've got some very, very talented people, very knowledgeable people as well about the game, and have good opinions and good viewpoints, and you know, how the game should develop and all that. So it's a real sort of like, and also it's really handy to work with people that you like, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yes. Yeah, I agree.
So you turn up there, at Lord's, you've got all the, you go out in the middle and you're chatting to the lads, good luck, boys, and everything. You get all that atmosphere.
And the lunch, of course.
And the lunch. Well, there you go. And then it's quite nice because then you don't get the pressure. Even though there's a little bit of pressure when you commentate. You obviously want to get it right and do a good job. But then you don't have that pressure. You all go upstairs and have a cup of tea. And don't have to face the bloke bowling 100 miles an hour at you. So it's almost, there's no substitute for playing. But, it comes a very, very close second commentating because you're getting all the buzz, all the adrenaline and watching these wonderful games unfold and these wonderful innings and close run test matches and things without all the sort of, without all the sitting there at night or, waiting to go out to bat and all the pressure. So, it's great and we've got a great team there. I love it.
And obviously we've seen now, 100 come along and T20 and stuff like that. Are you still stuck in that kind of, and it's a horrible thing to say, but in the olden days, in the 90s, where it was just, you played 5 tests against someone, you play 5 one-day internationals and that would be it, they'd go home. Now we see it constantly changing. Do you enjoy the 100 and the T20?
I do. I really, really do. Listen, Test match cricket is my love. I love the twos and the throws and the ups and the downs and all that comes with Test cricket. But I like one day cricket. I like the 100. I think it's brought a great audience, a new audience to the game. Lots of young families there and with young kids really enjoying the game as well, and they're going to be your next potential Test match cricketers. If you could grab them young, and then they'll go, oh, that's good. Oh, what's this? Oh, that's one day cricket. Oh, what's Test cricket? And so hopefully they'll sort of progress. But I enjoy it. I think we've got to be a little bit careful of Test match cricket because I still see that as the pinnacle. And a lot of sort of like players from other countries now perhaps then see playing franchise cricket as more than absolutely representing your country.
And what's your opinion on that? If you were around now, and I know it's money, because, there is money in franchise cricket and they can go to the IPL, they can go to, it's all year round now, so everyone's got an IPL, if you like. Yeah. If you were playing now, do you think you would be doing that as well? Do you think you'd be going around the franchises?
Well, I'd like to think that I'd give Test match cricket and representing my country as much of a shot as I can.
Yeah.
Listen, sometimes the guys can't do it because some of the other countries, they haven't got the money to pay their Test cricketers, and so they get taken away from Test cricket because of, as you say, you're getting fortunes for playing for these. And
the West Indies is a prime example, isn't it? And that's it. Does that kind of it hurt? We know it hurts the game. Yeah. But for guys like yourself, who we've talked about some really nice times you had. Is that slightly ruining the game? Is it deflecting away from what we've forgotten what cricket is?
Well, it can be. I always sort of like, if you have steak and chips every night, you're going to get bored with it. Yeah. Aren't you? So you've got to be careful. I was talking to some of the boys, who play Test match cricket, do IPLs and franchise cricket. They spend about 40 nights in their own bed a year. So, there is this sort of like burnout and there is this kind of like, do you lose the love for the game and is it just going out there and having a whack? You know what I mean? You've still got to keep that every time you walk over that white line, whether it be for whoever, your country or for your franchise or whatever, you've got to be committed, you've got to be energised.
Absolutely.
And if you're not, well, then you just need to sometimes you need to just pull back a little bit, have a little refresher, and then go again. But we've got to be careful. Test match cricket mustn't be, it must be the pinnacle, and it's still the pinnacle for me.
And it's changed a lot. You talked about having a beer with the guys and stuff like that. I'm going to guess there weren't too many nutritionalists in your dressing room.
Not many.
And there may have been a few pie and chips when you were down in Melbourne, for example. Obviously we've seen the evolution of the game, but do you think that in 10 years' time when we're sitting here talking about cricket, do you think some countries will pull out of the Test arena, or do you think that we will still have the good core of the Test match teams that we have?
Well, you mentioned the West Indies. I think Test match cricket really needs a strong West Indies, just the style of the play. I've toured down there a couple of times. It's fantastic.
Yeah. The grounds are wonderful, aren't they?
Well, absolutely.
And the Barmy Army going out and supporting you as well.
Absolutely. But there again, that comes down to the boards and how all the money's allocated and what have you. And you can have a completely another programme about all of that. But yeah, no, there weren't too many nutritionists in my day. We just sort of, it was like 16 blokes, a physio, and a coach,
and a tub of oranges, and maybe a pie and chips.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you kind of looked after yourself, but not the way these guys do with strength and conditioning. And I mean, there's more backroom staff on the play now than there is players there.
Absolutely.
Probably. But the one thing that's fantastic about that is that as a professional or a young guy or lady coming into the system now, you do have every opportunity. You have every opportunity to make yourself the best cricketer that you can possibly be. Everything's there: sports psychology, fitness, as you say, nutrition, all coaching. Analysis.
Analysis, yeah.
All that. We never had any analysis.
Didn't have laptops, Phil, did you? That's why.
The first time when Shane Warne came on to bowl that, and he bowled
the bowl of the century.
No one had ever seen him bowl. No wonder Gat didn't know what was going on. He's going,
he's still trying to play that shot now, I think, to be fair.
Who's this bloke? So you had to. I think the one thing that you don't have that we had was an adaptability.
Yeah.
We had to read the game very quickly because you didn't know who was bowling. Sometimes you didn't know what he does, and what have you. Nowadays it's very sort of, it is quite regimented. And I think, if anything, they're starting now to slightly go the other way and come back a little bit. That, you can't just be coached, and just go, oh, well, I'll keep getting naught. Well, you're doing something wrong, mate.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you've got to work it out for yourself. You can be the fittest, the most nutritionalised, if that's a word, cricketer with all the coaching, but then
you get your footwork wrong.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it still does come down to you. As you said, I say it again, when you cross that white line, there's only one bloke with the bat in his hand and only one bloke with the ball in his hand. You haven't got all the coaches. They can give you all of that preparation, but then sometimes you've got to go out and do it.
And before we move on to Phil Tufnell, the media celebrity, when we leave cricket, two more questions on cricket. The obvious one comes out straight away. I'll leave that. But first of all, you've got a book on the Ashes, have you not?
Yes. Tough as Ashes heroes.
Yeah. And what's that about?
Well, it's...
inclusive of the title, really, but
well, there you go. But it's not just about the individuals. Yeah. Obviously, they're there. I've got a bit of a dirty secret, actually.
OK, go on. Yeah. Is this an exclusive? Or?
Well, it might be. Probably my first cricketing hero was an Australian.
Oh, wow, OK.
Yeah, which was...
So we'll leave it there. Phil Tufnell, thank you, yeah.
Which was Dennis Lillee.
Wow, yeah.
From Lillee and Thompson.
Yeah, of course.
And I can remember as a very young boy sort of watching... they just looked... to be having it looked a little less stuffy than sort of like the boycotts, and the guys that were playing for England. The big moustache, the medallion, and they looked a bit rough around the edges.
Merv Hughes, my favourite, looking like that as well. Bowling in with the big moustache. Yeah.
And they looked like they were having a bit. You always saw them like after the game having a beer, and I sort of went, oh, well, they look a little bit more my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I talk about Dennis Lillee, and I say it in the book that my father had a lot of friends when I was a young boy who looked like Dennis Lillee.
Right.
And they usually turned up sort of like in a Triumph Stag, with a leather jacket on and were called Ron. You know what I mean? And they were kind of like, I used to sort of see them all come round my, our house and whatever, and they were sort of like, they were pretty cool dudes.
So that book, I take it, available everywhere?
Yeah, it was out last week.
Fantastic.
And as you say, it's really like a little bit like a love letter to the Ashes, really.
Okay, brilliant.
The grounds, the umpires, the crowds, and also all of the...
Read it the afternoon before you watch the cricket overnight.
well,
perfect, isn't it? Yeah. So the obvious question then, do England win the Ashes? Is it going to be 5-0? What are we thinking?
It's certainly not going to be 5-0 either way. I think this is... a great opportunity. I think this is probably one of the best sides we've taken down there. One of the most settled sides. That top seven of ours can destroy anyone, that top seven. We've got, Archer and Wood, Pace, Atkinson as well. So we're going down there. It's a bit like, it's a culmination really of what Stokes and McCullum have been putting in place really. This is their acid test, if you want to call it that. It's all been building up to this.
It's like a big puzzle, isn't it? And all the pieces are coming together.
Absolutely, and this has been going on for a couple of years now, and so this is really what they're going to be sort of like, this is their legacy a little bit. So they're going to be absolutely determined. Joe Root hasn't got 100 in Australia.
No, so that's a big thing at the moment, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he'll be desperate to get that knocked off that, on his CV. You know what I mean? So, I think we've got a chance, but it's Australia in Australia.
Yeah.
I've said that many times. I'm sitting here mildly...
I'm going to push you for a score.
I'm mildly confident.
OK. So, I mean, we don't get too many draws anymore, do we? So,
No.
It probably will be... It could be 3-2. It could be, there may
I'm
be a
going
bit
3-2.
of either way, or
I'm
just going to say
3-2
3-2?
either way, but I'm going to say 3-2 England. Of course I am.
Brilliant.
Or it could be like a 2-2, but then that could very easily become a 3-1.
Yeah.
But best chance we've had in ages. So the Aussies are slightly unsettled as well.
Yeah, and we
don't know their top three.
Yeah, and Pat Cummins is out for the first test.
The talismanic figure and bowler as well. So that's a little bit... All these little pieces now, as you say, it's getting exciting, they all start fitting into place and you start thinking about it. But listen, to beat Australia in Australia is still one of the toughest challenges.
So can our viewers wake up on a Monday morning bleary-eyed, it's dark outside, it's raining, and then we're lifting the urn in Sydney? Can you see that?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So leaving cricket there, you are Phil Tufnell, the international celebrity now. And you've done lots of different things, and you've made a massive transition from sporting hero into... There may be some people out there who didn't even know you were a cricketer, let's be honest, because of the amount of shows you've been on. Yeah. You've done Strictly, you've done I'm a Celebrity. Yeah. How do you find that side of things? There
again, I retired from cricket and stupidly didn't know what was going on. You always say, you just think you're going to play forever, don't you?
Yeah, of course,
it's got a lot better than that now. But then I retired and I thought, oh, crikey, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? And I thought, I'd stay in the game and, I don't know, a bit of coaching or try and do a bit Sky or on the radio and what like that. And then a couple of weeks later, after I'd retired, I got this phone call from I'm a Celeb. 2003, a long time ago now. And it was the second show of I'm a Celebrity. I think Tony Blackburn won the first one.
That's right, yeah.
To which I'd seen a little bit, bits and pieces, but hadn't really sort of like got into it. And the chap sort of like said, oh, Phil, what are you up to? And I said, well, I'm not up to much, actually. And he said, well, do you fancy coming on I'm a Celebrity? And I thought, oh, is that the one that, with all the bugs and everything? And he said, yeah. And I said, just one thing, do we fly first class to Australia? And he said, well,
is it a 5-star hotel? Yeah.
He said, well, of course we do. And I said, I'm your man. I'm your man. And I went on there completely, no plan.
Yeah.
As you said, I mean, crikey, touch wood. I went on there, no plan really. Hadn't really seen the show.
Yeah.
Just turned up with me little bag.
And got chucked out of an aeroplane.
Ate a load of bugs, and had snakes all round me and everything like that, and won it. And I mean, it was just an amazing. I'd been used to being on a front page, middle page, back page with the cricket, but then that was just. I think there was like 15 million in a night. For 2.5 weeks, you were in their living rooms. And so you came back to this country and because you don't know what's going on over there. You can't see the time or whatever. They don't tell you anything. You don't know how it's going or anything. And then we came back and we landed at Heathrow and there must have been 500 photographers there. It was like the Rolling Stones had landed. Honestly.
And you thought, I finally made it.
Oh my God, what the hell's been going on? And then all of a sudden they give you your phone and you open the phone up and there is just messages going, wow, you know what I mean? Just going, oh my God. And it completely changes your life. So that was great and it was very, very lucky and blessed to then do a few other things off the back of that, perhaps not cricket related, but cricket is my love, the TMS, the telly and the watching it and the commentating on it and being around cricket, that is still my love. But yeah, I mean, it just gives you the opportunity to do some other things and jump out of aeroplanes and do other stuff.
You can't see yourself and Michael Vaughan hosting Strictly anytime soon? Well, no, now there's a vacancy because you've done Strictly, so why could you not host it? You and Vaughan could do that, do a show?
That was terrifying. Oh my God, that was terrifying. You think having cockroaches shoved down your underpants is a bit lively, but no, I knew I was in trouble actually on Strictly when my dance partner said, "Dancing with you feels like moving furniture," which I thought was a bit harsh. There again, didn't give. But I mean, I'm very, very lucky, really, that nothing's particularly planned. Obviously, there's a few things that are planned, you know, and what have you, but you just go in there, and my mum always used to say to you, keep a smile on your face, whatever you do, and give it a good go, you know, and so when these sort of like opportunities come along, you know, you just go, yeah, I'll give that a go. I don't mind, but I mean, absolutely terrified. I can remember the first time or something I've gone out there, you know, in a cerise pink top, you know, rhinestones slashed to the navel.
Just like you used to walk around South London in the day, yeah. Thought so, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and to do the Paso Doble or something, I mean, you just want to turn and run the other way. And then you go out there and sort of do Ring a Roses for 2 minutes, and they're just going, oh my God.
What's more nerve-wracking, that or standing in front of Bay 13?
I'd say that. I never quite lost my sort of self-consciousness. Yeah. There was always just a couple of % at the back of your head going, oh my God, I look like a complete plonker.
Saturday's coming round and you're like, oh no, Saturday's coming.
Absolutely. I never loved the Saturday, really. I couldn't quite get myself just completely let yourself go, you know, oh my life. But a great experience, great people on there. We had a great time and it's great fun, you know, and that's what you got to, and that, there again, I keep saying how lucky I am, and I am, you know, that you can do things that are great fun. And at the end of the day, you know, I spent, I think I got there to week 9 or something.
Which, week 9 you got to, yeah.
Which I think then my time had come, to be fair. But then I'd been taught by, you know, like a world champion ballroom dancer. I mean, you don't get that too often.
No, absolutely not.
I'm not bad now.
You haven't got Ron turning up with his mates there, have you, at Strictly?
No. So, so great opportunities to do this and throw yourself at it and have some good fun along the way.
And then, of course, we go on to your great mates, Sue and Matt. Yes. And you went on to do Question of Sport. You did that for ages. How much fun was that to do?
Well, that was just, I mean, that was a dream come true. I mean, I can remember, you know, sitting down with my mum and dad and my brother, you know, and I can even remember sort of, you know, Coleman and obviously Beefy and Beaumont, but I can remember even bit further back than that, and we used to split up, you know, and play that, you know, sitting on the front room all those years.
It was appointment television, wasn't it?
Oh, it was wonderful. I mean, family stuff. We all gathered round, and as you said, we all split into teams, and I know that, and I know that, you know, and everything like that. And so then first of all, then to go on there as a contestant was a badge of honour. Mm-hmm. You know, I can remember my mum being more excited. I'd played a couple of test matches, which she was delighted about, and then I told her that I'm going on Strictly, I'm going on Question of Sport, and she was, you've made it.
Yeah.
You know, if they've asked you on to Question of Sport,
absolutely. You
know, and as you say, badge of honour. So I did that, and then to be asked to be captain, well, I mean, that's just, talk about an honour, you know. You think about the people who've come on the show and have been captains beforehand, and there again, the history and everything. You know, it was wonderful. We got on very well straight away with Sue, who's wonderful, who's brilliant.
Lovely lady.
Absolutely, and so professional, but great sense of humour. Dorse, same. We all three of us just clicked. You know?
So you're going on tour in April and May 26. You're going to 10 different cities.
Yeah.
How can people find out about that? What are they expecting?
Go to the website and what have you. Yes, it's Phil, Matt and Sue, the reunion
That's
tour.
It. Yep.
Yeah, and we did it last year, and we had just had so much fun. Yeah, and it never surprised. It never ceased to amaze me. You know, we were playing in front of thousands. Yeah. You know, and we'd come. So it's that love for the show. It's not that I think they all came to see Sue, really.
I was just about to say, was it you? But
no. But I mean,
I
think it's just for the love of the show.
Okay.
You know, so it doesn't really matter who's running around making fools of themselves and trying to answer the questions, really, I don't think. I think it's just the love for that show. It was an iconic show. 55 years that had been going. And, to be part of that was wonderful. And as you said, we still, as you say, going on tour and we have a great time and see all your old mates and, you know, and it's the same.
You might have a few
format.
drinks or just a few.
Might have a little one.
Just a light ale, yeah?
Yeah, might have a little glass or something after the show. But, it's just wonderful. And as I said, we get on so well. It's an absolute pleasure to do.
Brilliant. We're out of time, Phil, but thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Phil Tufnell. Thank you, sir.
Cheers. Lovely.
And thank you for watching this exclusive Liberty Rock Sport presentation. We'll be back again soon with more insightful conversation. Until then, check us out on our socials. Thanks for watching or listening. Bye for now.